as the coordinator for the Alberta Aboriginal Apprenticeship Projects here in Edmonton. And, but anyhow, a quick bio. Born in the community of Tuktoyaktuk, Northwest Territories. Served in Her Majesty's service for a few years over in Europe. Changed occupations, worked for Imperial Oil, got my journeyman tickets in the automotive service technician trade and also the millwright. From there, I moved on with marine shipping in the Western Arctic and worked closely with trades, worked with the Aboriginal clients in a company. And, but anyhow, working as the human resources manager in that capacity, my role, because it was legislated under the Employment Equity Act, was to increase the Aboriginal employment within that workforce. At that time, it was less than 1%. When I left, I think right throughout the organization, we had about 46% Aboriginal employment. And that was quite significant since working with 3 unions in that company. But anyhow, I have a compassion and interest and dedication to working with Aboriginal people, especially in Alberta. I oversee, well, last month I had 4 regions. We shut down both Calgary and Lethbridge, and focusing on the regions of Edmonton and Fort McMurray. As you know, there's a huge demand in the Fort McMurray area in all trades. Alberta Aboriginal Apprenticeship Project was started in 2001. The mandate was 5 years, and at that time it was to register and employ 255 Aboriginal apprentices throughout the province. That was in Lethbridge, Fort McMurray, Calgary, and Edmonton. Of course, we had one in Lethbridge also. The end time for that was March 31st of 2007. We had over 300 Aboriginal apprentices at that time, so we were way over our mandate. So it really gives you the success as to how we're progressing. And how do we do that? How do we get such a success in this population group? What we've done is gone through an informed employment counseling process whereby individuals interested into the trade would go to the Métis Nation of Alberta or to the Otinow Employment Services, or any employment services in Edmonton region, Calgary or Fort McMurray, whatever. But being a resident of those regions, they go through employment counseling process and address the 4 issues, and those have to be the career decision making and skill enhancement, a job search, and of course the most important with this segment is the employment maintenance issues, like you've got to have a roof over your head, got to put food on the table, and to be able to make it to work in the morning. With that process, screening people that are ready, willing, and able to get into the trades, and that's where we get our successes at the end. Our retention rate's higher. So we're getting the right people, getting them to right employers, and we're getting very, what I call it, people that have a passion for that trade, whether it be, all 52 trades in Alberta. And working with the Métis Nation for several years, we were able to fund individuals' interest in the heavy equipment operator trade. And there are monies available through the ARDA agreement for people to get into those occupations, like truck driving, equipment operators, stuff like that. So going back into that process, with the Alberta Aboriginal Apprenticeship Project, our 5 years was up on March 31st, and we've met our mandate. Now we're kind of in a transition area. What's for the future? I know for a fact down in the Wetaskiwin area, the Louisville Reserve, the Montana, the Ermineskin, and Hobbema have shown interest in this project. The other area is the St. Paul, Cold Lake, Lloydminster corridor, because of the future activity of those regions. Those decisions have not been made yet, but that's the vision we want to go into down the road. One of the things, successes of this project as we move on is once we get a person employed with an employer, and our work does not stop there. Our work continues with that individual from day one until the day they become a journeyman or journeywoman, as Judy was saying. And how do we do that? First of all, we do monthly follow-ups with the apprentice. We do monthly follow-ups with the employer, see how things are going. We ensure the individual is, do not forget to register and attend school, whether it be NATE or SATE or whatever. And also, as the years go by individually, from year to year, as apprentices progress to the next level, we have what you call an annual recognition event. And thereby, we would recognize the individual for progressing to, let's say, the first year, completing a first year, the second year, third year, and so forth. And that is a fairly significant event, the dinner and the, entertainment and stuff like that in respective regions. Some of the challenges, I guess, in any select group, working with the Aboriginal people for the last 30 years, I find there's really no magic bullet. Kind of have to work it, understanding the individual, understanding the culture. How we work it here is that we find the urban Aboriginal is more up and going, and they seem to have, the things to move on, the labor market research and stuff like that. Whereas in the rural areas, we have a little bit more work in that the mobility is a factor. Young people don't seem to want to move out of those areas. And not only in Alberta, but throughout the Aboriginal communities across Canada, and especially up north where I used to work. It was really difficult to have the young people move out of their home communities because, number one, friends, and number two is family. And I guess the security of being away from there and going into an unknown. And so that's has been a difficult thing to address. However, I think it's got to be an individual thing. And if the individual has, going back to the passion and interest and wants to make a career and travel, it's there. And I think we need support from the industry, the employers, and especially in the on the floor working as a team. And I think that support would go a long way. So I guess in closing, I would like to thank you for inviting me here, and we'll be talking with this group again. Thanks.